All right, hello everyone. How you doing? Thanks for being here, first of all. Hi everyone. I'm Steve. It's a real pleasure to be here in San Francisco to talk to you all about how Lightspeed L.A. is approaching the building of a new studio from the ground up. A studio designed to craft incredible, immersive AAA experiences. And that's the team. Over the course of my career, I've had the opportunity to work on with some of the most talented people in the world on projects that have pushed the boundaries of our industry and redefined what a video game can mean. But today, I'm here to discuss a new studio, Lightspeed L.A., and our debut project, Sentinel. Together, these two are my greatest challenge yet, and honestly, I'm absolutely loving it. Before we chat about what we're doing at Lightspeed L.A. and Sentinel, I want to talk about where we are right now in terms of AAA titles and the roles these games play in our industry. I've helped build AAA experiences for decades now. Obviously, we've come a long way as an industry in those years. During that time, thousands of dedicated and passionate developers have worked passionately on these massive, immersive games. It's those people, those teams who we must thank for those experiences. Let's never forget that. But what does it really mean to be AAA? Of course, I've said this in other talks, so sorry if you've heard those. There is no one true definition. When you hear AAA games, you probably think of titles with huge budgets, coming from well-known publishers, famous studios, jaw-dropping graphics, A-list voice talent, and pioneering new gaming technologies, all pushing whatever the latest hardware is to its absolute limits. In my mind, these games should be milestone experiences that push the boundaries of what video games can and should be, forging forward as an art form, and lifting the industry. But there's more to it than what we see on the TV ads and the flashy screenshots. Deep down, these games shouldn't just be about superficial headlines of big budgets and console specs or household name franchises and talent. Indeed, you can have a game, ticks all the boxes. It's got crazy visuals, it's got A-list talent, grand set pieces, yet maybe it just doesn't click with you somehow. What makes a game a AAA experience is the culmination and the blending of the core constructs, the creativity, the passion, into a singular, unified and flowing experience. It's about creating art, not merely a product. Building a AAA game should be about making the game that you've always dreamed of playing, the one you've always wished you could make. It should move you, and it should stay with you long after you finish playing with it. These games should push the medium and the genre further, expanding what we all think a video game can be. The games whose gameplay, immersion, narrative twists and turns leave a lasting impact on everyone who plays them. If it's not doing these things, to me, it's not a AAA game, even if you spent $500 million making it. In my more than 25 years of making games, and trust me, that hurts every time I say it, because it makes me feel really old, because I am, this opinion of mine, and it is just my opinion, but it hasn't changed. Immersion, artistry, and originality are what make AAA games so timeless and influential. That's why I'm compelled to make them and compelled to play them. And that's whether you're playing the original Tomb Raider or The Last of Us Part 2. If you're on a Sega Genesis or a PS5, it should be the same. To see real progress in our art form, we should all continue to push ourselves as developers and designers and feel inspired to push our capabilities to the limit, whether that is in AAA or if you're working in boundary-pushing indie or anywhere in between that. It's kind of easy for me to stand here in front of you, kind of playing the artist and waxing poetic about these great ideals, expounding high ideals and ignoring the realities of business. But we all know making games is shockingly expensive. It's complicated, and it's really time-consuming. AAA budgets are becoming bigger and bigger, with wider and deeper teams creating them. Behind the gameplay and inspiration, there is a concerning trend. And I think you'd be hard-pressed finding a conversation at GDC this year that doesn't bring it up. While these games keep getting bigger, we're often continuing to use the same development models we did when games and budgets were much, much smaller. Bigger games equal bigger teams, bigger budgets, and with it, exponentially greater business risk. That means teams of thousands of people working on one game with budgets in many hundreds of millions of dollars. Pretty soon, I'm certain we're going to break the $1 billion budget very soon, I think. We're going to see that coming. And seriously, it may seem counterintuitive at first, but to me, I worry that this trend is not expanding, but is actually stifling the creativity and the ingenuity of AAA games. With increasing investment comes increasing risk aversion. After all, if you're going to spend $500 million or more developing a single game, you better be damn sure you're going to sell tens of millions of that thing to pay the money back. A similar trend, we've seen it occurring for decades in Hollywood. As budgets got bigger, movie studios became more cautious, avoiding the financial risk of creating something new and experimental. When something does hit, they pump out sequels and play it safe, keeping people coming to the theater or the streaming platform now. Now our screens are filled with familiar franchises, reboots, adaptations, and moviegoers are becoming bored and kind of jaded. And I've been watching this trend start to build in our industry. Large studios and publishers are increasingly tapping into long-running franchises and reboots, finding ways to re-release popular titles, while indie titles are now becoming synonymous with artistry and originality. As a result, we're starting to see less enthusiasm from mainstream players as they pine for new experiences, characters, and worlds. And I want to be really clear here. I'm absolutely not pointing a finger at the publishers and the large studios. The trend makes complete sense. Escalating budgets must be coupled with escalating revenue, or we can't survive. Income provides and secures jobs. Studios and publishers are just responding to market trends, and they're keeping their own doors open. But these factors are just a few of the contributors to a treacherous time many in our industry are facing today, which is why now, more than ever, whether we are managers, leaders, creators, we all have the responsibility to be cognizant of what we're building in terms of business models as well as the art, and be diligent in our planning to assure what we're doing is sustainable. And this is part of what has inspired me to build Lightspeed L.A. and create our last Sentinel project. The desire to build new, exciting content, but in a responsible and sustainable fashion. To focus on creativity and artistic vision, putting people first to enable them to do their best, most passionate work. That challenge is a core part of why we're setting out on such a kind of madly ambitious project right out of the gate. It's ambitious in terms of not just what we're building, but how we're building it. I mean, there's kind of no way around it. It is complete madness to build a AAA game. There's much, much easier ways to make money, if that's all you're really interested in. AAA experiences, they're expensive, they take a long time, they're incredibly challenging and complicated. All of this means they're extremely risky. But if, despite all of those challenges, you as a developer, you still feel compelled to go down that path, and honestly, I think it's probably the right path for you, as it is for me. Personally, while I know there are certainly easier ways to make money, none could be more enjoyable than making AAA experiences. What we're doing at Lightspeed L.A. is focusing on the areas where we can and we should take risks. This means working to assure that our creativity is the most important part of our process. Above all else, we are creating art, not just products. As an industry, if we want to continue making truly groundbreaking and innovative AAA experiences, we need not only to build sustainable business models, but we also need to foster teams and environments where people are brave enough to build bold new things. The risk and challenge of creating these games is what makes them exciting. For any of you that work on these things, that kind of is the thrill of it. People too often forget the thrill and the joy of creation, forging the worlds people wouldn't get to experience and stories they wouldn't get to hear otherwise. Adopting this mindset and culture involves having smaller, focused teams working on a project. This keeps developers closer to their work, giving them an opportunity to see a piece of themselves in it and pour more of their idea and passions into it. As those of us who are managers or leaders, we need to ensure this philosophy is incorporated in every step of the process, creating a culture that prioritizes creativity and collaboration. It takes work, but successfully implementing this can both mitigate the risks of development and improve the quality of the game at the same time. Okay, you've probably heard enough now about my general opinions on the business and the drive of AAA. So let's talk a little bit about how we've gone into building our own studio and project. Several years ago, Lightspeed Studios approached me with the hope of working together to build something new and posed the question, if you could make any game in the world, what would it be? And to be honest, I didn't know how to answer that question. No one's ever asked that question before. I mean, who gets asked, what game do you want to make? You just don't get asked it. But my mind quickly honed in on what motivated me to get into games in the first place. This could be my opportunity to build a world inspired by the sci-fi books and movies that filled my fantasy since I was a child, obsessing over Blade Runner, Star Wars, Alien, and so many other things. This past December at the Game Awards, we gave the world its first look at our debut project, The Last Sentinel. If you haven't seen the trailer yet, there it is. Sadly, I can't share any fresh details about the game just yet. Not ready there, but the team is crushing it. Some of them are here today. I'm really glad to see some familiar faces. And they, like me, are desperate to show you more, and we will do once it's ready. But I can talk about the inspiration behind its core concepts, the setting, themes, characters, all inspired originally by the art I fell in love with growing up. Last Sentinel will place people in the role of our amazing female protagonist, Hiromi Shoda, who's about to make her appearance, in an immersive open-world dystopian future Tokyo. We took these themes as a foundation, and then with a million better ideas from the people who've joined me on the journey, we've come up with something truly original that pushes the envelope of the genre. This game's truly special to me, and I'm so excited to have the opportunity to work on bringing this to life with the team. It's without doubt the most ambitious project I've ever undertaken. So how are we doing it? Sorry, I turned it off. It all starts with the right team. Lightspeed L.A. is the first US-based AAA game development studio under Lightspeed Studios. We started this company to build ambitious, open-world games with creativity, originality, and with people as the foundation of the studio and our work. We're setting out to build immersive living worlds with sophisticated, player-driven gameplay and mature, thoughtful storytelling. With the foundations of what we all wanted to do and how we wanted to approach the workplace, the next thing, of course, to do was assemble the core team. Some of them. While we knew this was going to be an incredibly ambitious project, I wanted to ensure that we approached it the right way. And that meant sourcing the right people. Not the right skills, the right people. The right talent from a variety of creative backgrounds, and then scaling the team responsibly, only growing as we needed to grow. When it comes to talent, it was imperative that we gathered diverse voices and experiences, not just for Last Sentinel, for all of our projects. After all, hearing something from a perspective you've never considered before is kind of what makes storytelling compelling. The only way to ensure we're accomplishing this is by pulling in as many different perspectives as possible. Building a diverse team shouldn't be about a tagline or ticking a box on your recruitment website. Simply building a diverse team means you build better games. It's just a fact. Specific to Last Sentinel, we're making a game within a rich culture different from our own. It'd be not only irresponsible, it'd be arrogant, and it would be foolish for us to attempt that, building a world in that culture without a deep understanding of it, and the cultural sensitivities that really can only come from people with authentic, lived experiences in that culture, having them embedded as part of our team and the team's support structure. Now, our team boasts incredibly talented individuals, not just from a broad cast of cultures and identities, but also professional backgrounds. We approach problems differently with different ideas. We're not just video game developers. We're also comic book writers, novelists, Hollywood producers, theater composers, TV and movie FX specialists, and so much more. This variety of lived experiences and skill sets is what makes our team so strong and really special. I think a really special team. If you want to build originality in a AAA game, you have to have a diverse team. And I'm going to keep saying it. It's just not optional. In addition to a culturally broad team, you need the right size team. From the beginning, we worked to keep the team as small as we possibly could without compromising what we wanted to build. This idea of scaling responsibly, of only making hires when we need them, not in anticipation of who we might need eventually. It keeps us focused and efficient and ensures we have a solid foundation at each stage before we put more people onto it. This isn't always easy. It's tempting to start to run with an idea that seems promising. And like every other studio, we have targets to meet. But I believe you need to be brave to go slow at the beginning. Let the seed of the idea grow at its natural pace and understand throughout the process what we're building and how we want to build it. Have a robust idea and process in place before you put 400+ people on a project. Because once you employ somebody, and I'm really talking to the leaders and the managers in the room, you have a moral obligation to do everything you can to keep them employed. Maintaining a small team early on also keeps you flexible. It's much easier to pivot, even scrap an idea if you're in a room of 10 people. Much easier than when you have 100 people working on it already. And of course, it's not just about efficiency. Keeping the team small like this also ensures that as creators and artists, the team develops a personal connection to what they're working on. If you're a cog in a machine of thousands of people, it's difficult to see the impact that you're making on the project that's in front of you. But when you can see a part of yourself in the product throughout the process, your work will be better, naturally. You'll feel more fulfilled, you'll feel challenged, and you'll be happier as you work on it. So we're operating not just on principles of efficiency, but of artistry and especially creative fulfillment. Okay, once you've assembled the right team, you need to work to make sure you're fostering the right environment. We talk a lot about that in our industry, emphasizing the importance of stimulating creativity, making sure everyone has the opportunity to have their voice heard, fostering collaboration at every opportunity, and ensuring you keep the soul of the work you're doing. I've shared how important creativity and originality are to me when it comes to games, especially AAA game development. These are the cornerstones of Lightspeed L.A.'s culture. In building Lightspeed L.A. from the very beginning, we wanted to make sure every decision we made worked to stimulate the creativity of our team. Everything from the physical design of our space to the size and structure of the team to the culture we continue to strive to build and maintain is done with this in mind still to this day. We firmly believe people do their best work when they're happy. That shouldn't be a revelation. I hope not, anyway. When people feel free to share and build off each other's ideas, and they're focused on creating work that they're deeply passionate about. And you need to stick to this, not just when it's easy at the beginning. For Lightspeed L.A., we crafted together a credo for the studio of who we want to be and how we want to work. That credo is emblazoned on the wall as you enter the dev studio. It's a daily reminder of the principles we promise to uphold together as a team. Actually, the team is told as well, you can drag me over and point to it if we start to stray and ask me what the hell's up. So, kind of trying to get called out on it as early as possible if we ever do get off the path. And in order for people to create, they need to feel comfortable sharing their ideas. I think we've likely all had the experience at some point in our careers where we were ignored in a meeting because of our title or because we didn't have seniority. I can recall countless times early in my career where no one would listen to my ideas. With no regard to whether they were actually, or well, more likely not good, but simply because they didn't value my opinion because I hadn't proven myself yet. The problem is, you can't prove yourself if no one's willing to give you a chance and listen to what you have to say or see what you're capable of doing. That's why it's critical to work to establish an environment that is open and collaborative, where people are comfortable sharing their thoughts and ideas. Even if they're not comfortable thoughts and ideas, maybe there's a disagreement. We strive to reinforce this idea at Lightspeed L.A. and encourage everyone to contribute and share what they think about a new feature, idea, or direction. We're not perfect at doing it, but we try, and we try to keep getting better at doing it. And I think that intention is really, really, really important. Nobody should be afraid of failure. Sometimes an idea, it might not be in the right direction, but it's crucial as creators that we're willing to accept that our idea, it might not catch the imagination of others, but it could still lead to another one that does. A collaborative environment also necessitates us not being precious about our personal ideas. We throw them out there for people to consider, and they may or may not work. That's okay. No one has a monopoly on creativity. There are no job descriptions at Lightspeed L.A. listed as the one that has the ideas. The person taking notes or someone starting new in QA, they're equally capable of having a fantastic idea. And we continue to work to try and help make sure everyone knows that. This environment of mutual respect is good not only for morale, but it is necessary to foster a truly collaborative production process. And collaboration is quite literally the foundation of everything that we do. We built our studio to maximize the collaborative potential. We have a fully open floor plan to avoid teams sitting in silos. All of our meeting rooms are glass-walled. No one will ever see an uninviting, closed, windowless door and wonder if there's a meeting going on in there, what it's about, whether or not they should be in there or not. We also run a hybrid work environment because we want to give our employees the flexibility they need and deserve, but we also want to foster the in-person collaboration you get from sharing a space. It's not uncommon for someone at our studio to walk past an impromptu discussion among another sub-team and just chime in and share their ideas from a different perspective. And that's something we really want to try and keep a hold of. But these moments aren't entirely accidental. Collaboration, it doesn't just happen by magic. It's a result of planned and committed work on our part as managers and leaders to reinforce the environment where team members feel empowered to share and discuss different ideas and perspectives. Great collaboration is the result of an environment that truly values and respects the people who make it up. After all, the people who work on the project are what gives the game its soul. Every member of the team is pouring a part of themselves into it. Creating video games is challenging and it is risky. But importantly, I'm going to keep saying this, it is art. And the people working on these games are artists and they are creative human beings. If you lose sight of that, it will reflect in your game. Understand what the project means to your team. Take care of them, respect them. It will show and pay dividends creatively in everything you do. That's why it's critical to work to establish an environment that is open and collaborative, where people are comfortable sharing their thoughts and ideas. We strive to reinforce this idea at Lightspeed L.A. and encourage everyone to contribute and share what they think about a new feature, idea, or direction. Again, are we perfect? No, but we keep trying. This also applies, of course, to the C word, crunch. We've committed to avoiding crunch at Lightspeed L.A. But I will, for anyone in who's worked with it before, openly admit I used to think crunch was the only way to make great games. Earlier in my career, it was basically an industry standard. If myself at this stage in my life, that I am right now, was entering the industry as it was then, I'd quit. People back then, you didn't start families, you didn't take vacations with friends, you just worked. Everything was expected to be sacrificed, friendships, relationships, even mental health. But the industry has evolved and it's continuing to evolve. We're not right the way there yet. And I really want to say I'm really glad that my old attitude was proven to be so very, very wrong. And that so many in the industry are pushing to correct one of the biggest mistakes we ever made. As we mature as an industry and as individuals, it's important to acknowledge that these mistakes happened and to make changes to make our lives more sustainable and our work more sustainable. People will create better work when they're rested and healthy, when they feel good, and when they spend time with their families. That might sound like a really stupidly simple thing to say, but as an industry, we didn't think that for 15 years. So I think we need to reinforce that. In practice, it requires the same mutual respect and transparency I keep calling back to with the other things. As leaders and managers, we must maintain an environment where people feel empowered to push back if timelines are unrealistic, and for us to be flexible when road bumps inevitably arise. You can't have balance in your studio if you don't have communication with all your staff. Making a triple game is a monumental challenge. We should never lose sight of that. But when you build the right team, when you prioritize creativity, collaboration, and respect, the risk is worth taking. These games are a unique art form, and art should be bold, should be challenging, and at times it should be unnerving and it should be daunting. But we're more than ready for the challenge, and I don't just mean us at Lightspeed L.A. I love coming to GDC because I'm always reminded how incredibly talented and passionate our industry is. This week is inspiring me in so many ways for what's to come. Despite our challenges in our industry, especially now, I can see these positive, human-centric trends emerging. We are making progress, and I'm excited for the future of our industry. I can't wait to see what other studios like ours are doing to shape the future. Now, in the meantime, we've still got plenty of work to do in Irvine and our other locations if I'm going to show you more of Last Sentinel anytime soon. So thank you all for coming, and I hope to see you all playing on the streets of Tokyo in Last Sentinel soon.